When Colonel William Light first stepped ashore on the South Australian mainland at what he would later call Rapid Bay, he was struck by what he saw, describing the surrounding countryside as rich beyond expectation. South Australia's first Surveyor General certainly had a good eye, travelled through the Yankalilla Bay district and beyond, and William Light's glowing endorsement seems just as valid today as it did way back in 1836. These rolling hills and secluded bays have long been home to the Kaurna Aboriginal people, providing good hunting for families who wandered up and down this spectacular coastline. Travel through this picturesque countryside and its many stories, both Aboriginal and European, spring to life. Today it's a haven for holidaymakers. With so much of the Yankalilla district bounded by a spectacular coastline, it's not surprising Australia's famous beach culture is alive and well along this part of the Fleurieu Peninsula. Of course, before soaking up all the peninsula has to offer, you'll need to stock up on supplies from any of the local eateries, and there are plenty to choose from. Now you're ready to explore the local towns which are steeped in history, being some of the first settlements in South Australia. But make sure you venture beyond the heritage towns to hidden gems like Tourist Drive 52, otherwise known as the Hills and Seascapes Discovery Drive. It'll take you to all the best picture postcard views, some that require a little more effort, like Ingallala Falls. The more you explore, the more you'll find, like spectacular Deep Creek Conservation Park at the bottom of the Fleurieu Peninsula. All of this is home to the world-famous Hyson Trail, a must for the more adventurous traveller, along with other hidden treasures offshore. Nature provided its own in secluded Second Valley. It's here, underwater at Lassiter's Reef, that you're likely to encounter the rare and beautiful leafy sea dragon. So with all of this to discover, it's not surprising that more city dwellers are searching for and finding their own little piece of the Fleurieu Peninsula. To find out more, drop into the Yankalilla Visitor Information Centre or log on to the website www.yankalilla.sa.gov.au. There's more than enough to keep you here for a day, a week, or a lifetime. When Colonel William Light first stepped ashore on the South Australian mainland at what he would later call Rapid Bay, he was struck by what he saw, describing the country as rich beyond expectation. Travel through the Yankalilla District Council area and that glowing endorsement by South Australia's first Surveyor General seems just as valid today as it did back in 1836, with its secret charms still waiting to enthrall the visitor. But before the arrival of the brig, the Rapid, with its small party, these rolling hills and secluded bays were home to the Kaurna people, providing good hunting grounds for families who wandered up and down this spectacular coastline. It's the country of Gilbrookie, the ancestral being who rose from the ground near Mount Hayfield in Parrawa. When news reached him that his nephew had been killed for breaking tribal law near Sturt Creek near Marion, Gilbrookie rushed to the scene and carried the body of his nephew through country like this, all the way to Cape Jervis. Along the way, he wept, creating springs of fresh water, which later served the people of the Kaurna Nation. Following the glowing reports of Colonel William Light and others, the first settlers were on their way, carving out a remote existence in one of the most picturesque and secluded portions of the peninsula.
There was no road transport. There was no bridges, so everything was done by sea. There was very small ships could get in fairly close, and there was on the peninsula, the Fleurieu Peninsula, there was easy access to the shipping, so their produce could be exported quite easily, and the necessities of life could be brought in.
Soon the area covering much of what we now know as the Yankalilla District Council area became the food bowl for a desperate young colony.
A man could, with the help of one workman, could clear perhaps 30 acres in a year with a single furrow plough and bullocks.
So what were they planting once they'd cleared the land?
Well, it was always wheat.
The wheat fields have largely gone now, as cattle and sheep graze the slopes of some of the most scenic country in the state. It's a region with many secret gems, just waiting to be discovered. And when you do explore the bottom portion of Fleurieu Peninsula, get ready to be surprised. Drop into the Yankalilla Bay Visitor Information Centre for a quick cook's tour by brochure and pamphlet of what's on offer. And then drop in for a quick bite at one of the district's many eateries, like Lynx Lady Bay or perhaps Lilla's Cafe. Whichever you choose, you will need much needed supplies because there is plenty to see in the townships of Yankalilla, Normanville and Carrickalinga and the outlying districts. These are towns steeped in history. Being some of the first settlements in South Australia, farming techniques mastered here were quickly passed on to new emerging agricultural districts all over the state. And that groundbreaking approach also extended to education, with Mother Mary MacKillop having done some of her earliest work in the Yankalilla area.
Mary MacKillop did a lot of her earlier work down in the southeast, but then moved to Adelaide to establish the Josephite order of sisters. The Yankalilla connection is this is the first country school that she built after establishing the order.
The old school is just one of many Yankalilla attractions. At the other end of town stands the Anglican Church, which gained national prominence in the mid-1990s. On August the 24th, 1994, a number of parishioners were startled to see an image of the Blessed Virgin Mary on the wall near the altar. Since then, parishioners have claimed to discern other images, prompting some to call the Shrine of Our Lady of Yankalilla Australia's Lourdes. It's just one of many churches in a district which grew rapidly. Settlers came from everywhere, some as farmers to take up holdings in places like Dairy Flat, now known as Torrensvale. Many of the old homes are now abandoned, but still stand as a reminder of a very different time in this idyllic valley. Torrensvale is just one of the many hidden gems waiting to be discovered as you travel the district's many scenic back roads. The Yankalilla District Council area is tailor-made for a motoring holiday. Just check into the Visitor Information Centre. They'll set you right on some of the most scenic routes in South Australia. Like Tourist Route 52, otherwise known as the Hills and Seascapes Discovery Drive. It'll take you to all the best picture postcard views and some spots that require a little more physical effort.
I think the district lends itself to that, largely because the secrets are spread apart a bit geographically. And
there's so much variety. You're going from classic rural scenes to coastal vistas.
Yes. And it's not always easy country. There's plenty of opportunities to get out of your car and take a walk, that's for sure.
Without the council's touring route guide, you might miss this leafy retreat for those looking for the perfect picnic spot. A short walk from a nearby car park brings you to Ingallala Falls.
We're about 15 kilometres out of Yankalilla on the Hayflat Road near Normanville. I've never seen these falls not running. They're just always there for your pleasure and for your joy. It's an easy walk in, there's plenty of space for the family to come, play, sit, have their lunch, do whatever they want to do. As we noticed coming in, lots of birds to see, so it really is a fabulous place to come. There's a second set of falls further up the mountain, and that's a much longer walk up there, but those with energy can just spend a couple of hours going right up to the second falls and coming back again. It's a fabulous spot.
Well, the more adventurous might want something a little more arduous. It's not that far away, at Deep Creek Conservation Park, at the bottom of the Fleurieu Peninsula. Deep Creek Conservation Park is all about diversity and adventure. You've got 4,500 hectares to explore, and that includes ancient stringy bark forest, coastal heath, and magnificent coastal vistas. And you can bet you won't be the only ones taking in the panoramic views across Backstairs Passage to Kangaroo Island. any time of the day you can expect a few kangaroos to join in the fun. For international visitors, scenic lookouts like this one at Blowhole Beach are a must. Just 1.5 to 2 hours drive from Adelaide, and you'll be sharing all of this with the locals. You can spend days with these icons of Australian wildlife, should you lace up the hiking boots and take on the world-renowned Hyson Trail, which winds its way along the coast before heading north and into the rolling farm country of Inman Valley and beyond. But should you want to experience what parts of the Fleurieu were like prior to the farmers moving in, then look no further than these ancient stands of stringy bark forest.
As you can see behind me, this is the last remaining bit of stringy bark forest on the Fleurieu Peninsula. Right now we're located on the stringy bark loop walk, which is a 1 kilometre section of trail which walks through the bushland behind me, and is, as you said, a great reminder of what it used to be pre-European settlement.
The nearby ruins of the old Taliska mine give visitors a taste of what life must have been like for the Cornish miners who toiled for silver and lead here from the 1860s. It was hard and remote work, with the ore bound for the mother country from this little Cornwall on the Fleurieu Peninsula. Today, others dive deep for hidden treasures offshore. The HMAS Hobart was scuttled in Yankalilla Bay in 2002 to form an artificial reef. Secluded Second Valley is a must on any trip around the Fleurieu. And it's here, underwater at Lassiter's Reef, that you're likely to come across the rare and beautiful leafy sea dragon. Divers are also more than likely to spot South Australia's marine emblem further south at Rapid Bay, once described as the best jetty dive in Australia. And should the outdoor adventurer just want to snorkel along shore reefs, then Carrickalinga and Maiponga beaches are ideal for a family day out. With so much of the Yankalilla District Council area bounded by spectacular coastline, it's not surprising that Australia's famous beach culture is alive and well along this part of the Fleurieu. And you can enjoy it on horseback as part of a High Country Trails adventure along Normanville Beach, or come festival time during one of the region's many outdoor events.
The Leafy Sea Dragon Festival is really good. It's spread throughout the townships, so it's not just one township here. And there's arts and displays and all sorts of activities going on all over the place, so it's really interactive and a really good festival.
With scenery like this and the region's sense of history and community, it's not surprising more city dwellers are searching for and finding their own little piece of the Fleurieu. And not surprising too that the locals rarely leave.
You come over the hill, you heave a sigh and you say, oh, thank heavens I'm home, that I should be so lucky I live here.
To find out more about this stunning district, drop into the Yankalilla Bay Visitor Information Centre or log on to the Council's website www.yankalilla.sa.gov.au. There's more than enough to keep you here for a day, a week or a lifetime.
skin.